On November 28, 1998, just 2 days before her 35th birthday, Rita Hester, a black transgender woman described by friends as statuesque and glamorous, and usually clad in her favorite colors of black and purple, was murdered in her home. She had been stabbed 20 times by an unknown assailant. A year later, a handful of women organized the first Transgender Day of Remembrance to memorialize Rita, as well as another black transgender woman, Chanel Pickett, who had been strangled to death 3 years earlier. Gwendolyn Ann Smith, one of the organizers, was surprised to realize that none of her friends remembered Pickett or her murder just 3 years prior. Hence the need for a day of remembrance every year on November 20th for transgender, non-binary, and gender-diverse people who have died violent deaths simply because they dared to live out their authentic identity. So we speak their names, we light candles, we ring bells, and we whisper prayers. And in our remembering, we affirm what the world so often denies, that their lives were sacred, beloved, and blessed. But the act of remembrance can be painful and difficult because it means facing the reality of suffering and grief we wish didn't exist. And yet, remembering those the world has tried to erase is a sacred and holy act. When we remember, we are honoring the lives of the people who were taken too soon. And we are honoring the loved ones who struggle to make sense of that which makes no sense. Because in this context, that's what blessed means. It doesn't mean happy or lucky, as some Bible translations say. As Jesus looked out over the crowds of the poor and downtrodden masses, he was naming them as seen, valued, held close by God, and honored, even when the world offered only rejection. Where the world blesses and honors the rich, the strong, and the beautiful, Jesus blessed the poor, the mourners, the vulnerable, and the persecuted. And in the face of anti-trans violence, his words are important and relevant. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the vulnerable. Blessed are the persecuted. When Jesus spoke these words, he was not describing the winners of the day. He was describing the wounded. He was naming those the world had forgotten. He was looking into the eyes of people crushed by the system and exhausted by exclusion and telling them, you are seen, you are loved, you are not forgotten, you are blessed. He was blessing those who were never blessed by the world and declaring that the reign of God belonged to them. If Jesus were preaching the Beatitudes today, I believe his words would sound something like this. Blessed are the transgender women of color who walk through the world with courage and vulnerability, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the parents who affirm their children's gender, even when the world tells them not to, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the queer and trans people who hunger and thirst for safety, for respect, for a home, for they will be filled with justice. Blessed are the ones who are misgendered, mocked, or defamed, for their witness calls us all closer to God's truth. Blessed are the communities that make room at the table for every body and every identity, for they will be called children of God. Jesus' words echo through time, blessing those who refuse to give up on love. But it's not enough simply to read the Beatitudes. We must embody them. Like Jesus, we must become people of blessing. And that means standing in solidarity with those the world persecutes. It means risking comfort for the sake of compassion. It means letting love lead us into new ways of being. The Beatitudes are not a list of future rewards. They are a revelation of the here and now. Jesus didn't say, one day you will be blessed. He said, blessed are you. God's kingdom isn't waiting for some distant heaven. It's breaking in wherever love resists fear, wherever remembrance becomes resurrection, wherever we dare to bless what the world curses. Every act of affirmation, every pronoun respected, every policy changed, every parent who listens, every church that opens its doors wide, these are glimpses of the world Jesus imagined. It's a world where no one's humanity is debated. A world where love wins, not as a slogan, but as a lived out reality. Remembrance is an act of resistance. It's how we say, you tried to erase them, but we will keep saying their names. You tried to silence them, but their voices echo in our prayers. You tried to break them, but their courage lives on in us. Our remembering can be thought of as a form of resurrection. Because every time we tell the truth about injustice and commit ourselves to justice, we join Christ in the raising of the dead. The Beatitudes then asks us to speak blessing into places of pain and to embody hope in a world that is hungry for justice. So let us remember and let us bless and be blessed. Let us build the kind of church, the kind of world that Jesus dared to imagine. One where mourning is met with comfort, where hunger for justice is satisfied, and where every child of God can say, with joy and without fear, I am who I am, and God calls me beloved. Amen.